In 1918, New Orleans became the kind of city where people stopped trusting the night. It began with brutal attacks inside private homes. Victims were often struck while sleeping. Doors were forced open. In several cases, the attacker appeared to use an axe found at the scene or belonging to the victims themselves. Many of those targeted were Italian grocers or members of their families, which deepened fear across the city's Italian immigrant community. The violence felt intimate. This was not a killer lurking in alleyways waiting for strangers. This was someone entering homes, crossing the boundary that should have meant safety, and turning bedrooms into crime scenes. New Orleans already had its own shadows: heat, humidity, narrow streets, rumor, vice, and a culture thick with sound and superstition. The Axeman turned all of that into fuel. Every creek became suspicious. Every stranger became a possibility. Every night felt like it might be the next one. Then the case became even stranger. In March 1919, newspapers published a letter supposedly written by the killer. In it, the writer claimed to be the Axeman and said he would kill again on a specific Tuesday night, but would spare any house where jazz music was playing. The effect was immediate. That night, New Orleans exploded with music. Dance halls filled, bands played, families stayed awake. People who had never cared about jazz suddenly treated it like a shield. That is what makes this story so unforgettable. It was not just the murders. It was the way the killer seemed to take control of the city's imagination. He did not only attack bodies, he attacked the public mind. He turned fear into theater. He made the entire city participate in his mythology. And that is often what gives unsolved killers their power. When a case remains open, the murderer becomes more than a person. He becomes an atmosphere, a symbol, a shadow large enough to absorb every rumor and every unanswered question. The Axeman was never caught. That absence allowed the story to keep growing. Was he a single killer? A copycat? A sadist who enjoyed the panic as much as the violence? No one could say for certain. The fear was real, though. For months, New Orleans lived with the possibility that a stranger could break into a home in the middle of the night and vanish before dawn. And even after the attacks stopped, the unease lingered. That is the terrifying thing about mysteries like this. A solved crime ends with a name. An unsolved one keeps breathing. And somewhere in the sound of old jazz drifting through a dark New Orleans street, the Axeman still feels uncomfortably alive.